Everyone's LS, and this is patch 14.12 notes rundown here on the FlyQuest LOL YouTube channel. And there's a lot of stuff going on today. There's obviously the whole LCS news, which is over on my main YouTube channel. And then there's this patch, which mainly just serves as a supplement to sell the Faker skins, because there is no real balance changes going on here. We're going to dive into it. It's really just the skin patch. Even though there is a lot of changes, they don't really mean that much. Let's get into it. Okay, Aatrox. Health regeneration is going to go down by 0.5, and the armor growth is going to go up. Okay. So now, if, he's getting autoed consecutively, he's going to end up having more HP. Great. Umbral Dash. Healing 18 to 24% to 16 plus 0.9% bonus health. Umbral Dash's healing is no longer increased by 20 to 36% during World Ender. Increased healing on World Ender is now 25 to 45% to 50 to 100%. So they massively steroided his healing when he's pressing R. I think this is totally fine. So ultimately what's going to happen is he's going to become tankier and more durable, and he's going to become more of a drain tank. And I think that this is a good direction for Aatrox to go. It is going to make some of his matchups a little bit problematic. The issue that I think that he'll end up facing is the current, I guess you could say, climate of champions that is very prevalent right now is not super great for him to be doing that, though, and so that's Aatrox's issue. Akali, E damage is increased. To counter for how difficult Akali is to play, she shouldn't be anywhere near 50% win rate across multiple skill brackets. Amazing. Well, it might have something to do with the new runes and the amount of sustain and base health and base stats that she has. So, E Shuriken Flip, total damage 100 to 450, 85% total AD, 120% AP, to 70 to 350. So she's losing 30. Are you serious? They're not hitting her sustain or anything. They're barely tapping her. Now, trust me, I do not think that Akali is competitively viable. I think that she's fine at, near 50% across all skills. I can agree with what they're saying. I understand that a technical champion like this should not actually probably be, and this is something that I think a lot of people don't understand, is that naturally not every single champion should actually be 50% because of the complexity that goes into playing that champion, or the certain things that enable the champion to actually reach its full potential is only going to be possessed by players of higher skill brackets or something like that, right? So, or the reverse is also true. Things that allow a champion to flourish is not going to be possible versus higher skill brackets, and that's why there's low MMR punishers and stuff, right? So, okay, whatever. Akshan, moving on. Passive damaging decrease. E damage is decreased. Passive dirty fighting, 10 to 165. 60% AP, doesn't matter. 15 to 150, and so he's just losing a little bit of damage, level 1 to 5, etc. Heroic swing, damage per shot is also down. Drew 2, a little bit sad here. Ashe, passive damage is decreased. Passive Frost Shot, 120% to 115%. Okay, totally fine. Blitzcrank, base health decrease, passive shield duration is increased. So base health down by 50 is actually a really big deal. That is like 2 auto attacks. That is 2 autos, maybe even 3, depending on who's hitting them. It's pretty close to 3. In early laning, that is actually that's a big deal in early lane for an all-in champion, in some matchups, so that's fine. Mana Barrier passive, totally fake. I always talk about shields generally, right? Unless they're a shield that like refreshes or the shield persists and then it comes up again, because your ability haste is so high that the cooldown comes back up and the shield is still going or something, and you're able to basically cast it and it is almost permanently up or something. Shield durations don't really matter because either it's going to be chewed through entirely or it's just not really going to have an effect. Corki. Corki's rework was intended to make him an easy-to-play early-game lane bully. So far, it's been successful. However, the degree to which he's an early-game lane bully is much, much too severe. Yes, Corki is god tier. If you guys saw it, Patron, a lot of the questions that I ended up getting asked is mostly because my placement of Corki was very different than other people's tier lists and whatnot. Corki is just broken. You can't trade against him. You just can't trade against him. Level 1, level 2, you can't. You just can't do it. Gatling gun, way too strong. Champion's able to go mid. He's able to go to AC. He's a hyperscaler. It's just really, really, really strong champion. Now, they're taking away 3 AD, but they're increasing his attack speed. Totally fine. Prosperous Bomb, magic damage, however, is going to go up in base and AP. So if you have Baron, your Q will now deal more damage as well. So the base damage on Q is going to go up. Okay, so what I'm wondering here is I'm wondering if there's an interaction here where now you have to hit all of the minions, and then, make sure that they're lined up for Q. And I wonder if that's what the increase here and base damage of 5 or something does at, like, rank 4 or like level 4 or something. Or not level 4, but you guys get what I mean. E Gatling gun, 100 to 300, 250 bonus AD to 100 to 280, so it's losing 20 flat. 250% bonus AD is still there. Armor shred cap is going to go down by 4. That's actually kind of big. Mana cost is also going to go up, and that is really painful. So at rank 1, he's still going to have the really hard trade. At rank 2, we're literally talking about a one difference, which means that you could, I would actually probably wager that you have to play like 10,000 quirky games for it to make a difference or something, right? Like what is one armor MR in terms of living or not living in a first blood, or living or not living in a 2v2? Like what is one armor MR, right? Like how do we quantify that super early on? Now in the later stages, right, we're talking about 2 and stuff. And then, we start talking about 3, start talking about 4 and stuff. Yeah, okay, that you start feeling that, sure. And then also, again, remember, you do get some damage made back with the Q. Ezreal, AD growth is increased, Q damage increased, R damage increased. So Dragdar, the best Ezreal on EUS, is going to be very happy with this. Attack damage growth 2.5 to 2.75. Q Mystic Shot 20 to 120, 130% total AD. So he's getting the 10% total AD buff. Last time Ezreal had this, he actually started popping off inside of the jungle because it ramped his clear speed so much. I don't think Ezreal can jungle right now, but I could be wrong. I know that Shrimp, if you guys have been watching, some of the CB LoL Academy stuff, he's playing on IDL with Tukoi right now. I know Shrimp plays Ezreal jungle. I don't know anyone else that really plays Ezreal jungle. But yeah. True Shot Barrage is also going up by a flat 25. Doesn't really matter. At later ranks, though, it does go up to by 75. Again, not the end. It doesn't really do anything. I doubt this does anything. Karma, Inspire shield value is increased. Karma is still quite weak, but at her strongest role in her is currently support. We have a lot of room to buffer without mid lane Karma becoming problematic. We're still being cautious, though, and focusing on her supportive aspects. Inspire. So 80 to 266% AP to 80 to 280 plus 6% AP. Bonus movement speed 1.5 to 2 seconds, so it's going up by 0.5. So you can definitely close at least like 2 more Teemos of distance. Defiance shield 50 to 170, 45% AP to 50 to 200, 45% AP. Defiance secondary target bonus movement speed duration is also going up. So again, doesn't really matter. I mean, these shield values are now for Karma. in early laning doesn't really do anything because you're putting 3 points in Q first. Then you're maxing E. So in early laning, you don't get any value because it's still the same shield at rank 1. Okay? So in the later stages of the game, you do start getting value, but it's very negligible. You get 5 initially, or you get 10, right? So these are very light changes. It's mostly the distance that you're able to close. Maybe you can weave in an extra auto or something. Mastery, Q bonus damage monsters decreased. W initial damage reduction decreased. Cooldown is increased. Q Alpha Strike. Bonus damage to monster 75, 175 to 65 to 165. I don't actually know how much this matters. Scenarius would be the guy to ask about this. I doubt that 10 actually matters. I guess it would matter on like Gromp. Gromp red and blue, right? Because of the way that Alpha Strike works. W Meditate, initial cooldown. Okay, so they undid the 9 to 14 seconds. Okay, they made it 9 to 10, totally fine. Initial damage reduction 90% to 70%. Okay, cool, totally fine. Neferi, Pac-Man AD increased, Q execute and heal conditions change, cooldown reduced early. Passive, we are more. Passive, Pac-Man attack damage 60 to 30 based on level, 4.5% bonus AD. 12 to 32 based on level, plus 5% bonus AD. So she's getting a flat 6 AD buff on her pack mates early. That's huge. And she's getting a 0.5% bonus AD. Now, she does build Glass Cannon. Okay. She does build Glass Cannon. But let's not pretend that she's getting, like, insane amounts of, attack damage or something, right? That 200 attack damage, you get 0.5% of 200. Nice. Very, very good. Very good. Darkened Daggers execute 37 based on level versus minions and medium large monsters. So interesting. It says medium and large monsters. So the PBE was okay. They changed it entirely. Oh, okay. Oh, now she can jungle, I guess. 30 to 70. Okay, interesting. 30 to 7 based on level versus minions and non-epic monsters. So now she can kill all the small things with Q. Healing on bleed target champions only. Champions and large epic monsters. Okay. Cooldown 11 to 7 to 9 to 7. That's really, really big for early laning. Because the thing with Naafiri is so her level. So Naafiri goes QWE, right? Which means that she doesn't actually get this until level 5. And so because she does QWE and she really wants to trade really hard, getting 2 seconds shaved off early is a really big deal. In addition to getting those 2 seconds, weaving those in extra, in addition to now having that 6 extra flat AD, we're talking about a lot of extra damage early on that helps her out a lot. Now, if she can get going, she does just elite champions. That is like a thing. Yeah, I mean, these are really nice changes for Naafiri. Nyla. Health regeneration is going to go from 4 to 6. Armor is going up. I mean, it's crazy, by the way. She's such a nuts champion. She's absolutely broken. No one understands her. And no one understands her because she's basically she's this generation's old Mordekaiser, if that makes sense. That's what Nyla is. Rek'Sai, Q bonus attack speed decrease, W damage decrease, Green's Wrath 10%. Okay, on Burrow. Fine. Skarner base health decreased, health growth increase, passive damage adjusted. So here's the way that this works. He's losing 40. He's losing 40 HP. So level 14 forward, it's a buff. Is the way that this works. So he's losing 40 flat HP early on, which means that even his damage early on is a little bit reduced by that. But level 14 up, it's a super micro buff. Passive, Threads of Vibration, 7 to 10% based on level of the target's maximum health, to 5 to 11%. So again, another late game buff. And again, it's based on level. So now Skarner is almost never reaching level 18. So in most cases, this is always going to be a nerf. In most cases, right? You're just always going to be dealing less damage in early and mid game. You're always going to be less tanky in early and mid game. In the event the game goes really long, then yes, it is going to be a buff. Support Skarner gets absolutely annihilated by this change. Top Skarner hurt the least. But yeah. Talon, Q time now scales with attack speed. Q Noxy and Diplomacy. Q cast time now scales with attack speed. W Rake 105 to 100. Outgoing damage 40, 80 to 50 to 90. Cool. Tryndamere, Q bonus attack damage decreased. E damage is decreased. Q Bloodlust 10 to 30 to 5 to 25. Okay. Tryndamere just losing 5 AD out the gate is huge, by the way. That's so big. Okay. E spinning slash also losing a flat 5. Okay. Twisted Fate. AD growth is decreased massively by 0.8. That's really big. Wow. Wow. Did they compensate his AP build? No, they didn't. They didn't compensate AP. They actually nerfed AP. They nerfed AP by 5% AP. Pick a card. Blue card mono restored. Oh, blue card. Okay. So now he restores more. Wait. Oh, he restores more mana, but... Oh, he restores a lot more mana. Oh, wait, no, he doesn't. The mana cost went up by 20, and now he restores 20 more. I can't focus. Okay, Victor. Q2 now works on towers. Ooh. Arcane trailer just dropped. Victor gets a quality of life buff to celebrate. Very nice. I mean, yep. Victor's Q-empowered auto attack now applies to towers. That's a nice little buff, yeah. Vladimir, W cost decreased, healing increased, damage increased. This is actually really crazy because Elite 500 just hit Challenger on the Korean server with Vladimir, thus effectively showing that the champion is not weak. W, Sanguine Pool, 20% to 15%, healing 15 to 30% of pre-mitigation damage, bonus health radius 80 to 300 plus 10% bonus health to 80 to 300 plus 15% bonus health. Makes no sense, by the way. Vlad has been relatively weak across the board and kept having a poor performance compounded by the recent seasonal changes and overall faster game pace. Pretty sensitive kit changes? Okay, Yone. Recommended runes update. Base armor is increased, up by 3. Okay. Yuumi, E cooldown decreased, R heal per hit increased. So here's the thing about Yuumi that is really crazy about this. Okay. So Yuumi is funny in that the Helia change and the way that it works now for enchanters is actually a really big deal. So with the Helia change and Moonstone and all this other type of stuff, and now obviously Zoomies and you have you and me and you have Prowling Projectile and all this other great stuff and yada yada yada. Okay, so the thing here now with this change is you get access to rank 5 CD on Zoomies at rank 1 now. So now the question is the shield. Right? Do you need the shield or do you need the 10% attack speed plus 8% per 100 AP? She also gains 20% movement speed. You give the movement speed and you get the mana restore, right? Now, you got the increased heal and shield power. It goes up by 10%. Healing on hit also goes up, etc. So what I think can happen here now is I think that Yuumi can actually allocate some points into her other abilities. And I think that Yuumi with Moonstone and Helia, I think that Yuumi is actually destined for a return with those two items. Because I think it's just too much. I think Moonstone and Helia on certain enchanters, I think it's just way too much. Yeah, I mean, that's pretty much it. Okay. Our final chapter, heal per hit, is also going up by a flat 10. And then remember, if you have Moonstone, then that's going to get amplified. And yeah. Yeah. Lord Dominic's regards. Similar to Static Shiv down below, we're making LDR's build path a little smoother. So this is really funny because this is like the biggest litmus test that has existed for the last 4 years in League of Legends, because you could actually tell like who read items and who didn't based on collector purchases, unless it was like Draven, Graves, or MF in some cases. Anyways. Last Whisper, Cloak of Agility, 950 gold to Last Whisper, Noon Quiver, 150 gold. Just a lot better of a build path. Noon Quiver, attack damage going down by 5. Item is completely gutted, by the way. Scout Slingshot, this item is one of the worst items in the entire game. Static Shiv is now going to be buffed, but like, it's an item that feels bad, and you should feel bad when you actually buy it. I think it's a pretty fake item. It feels good. It feels very good. Aesthetically, it looks very pleasing. It looks like it has transformative value inside of the game, but it actually just stunts your build so much. So I think in that regard, not very great. Really not very great. Void Staff, ability power going up by 10. Interesting. So Void Staff is still the correct item of choice on certain champions who don't utilize ability haste. And now there are very few champions in the game that actually don't really care that much about ability haste, or they don't necessarily care about the heal on Crypt Bloom. Now it is only 10 AP, so you know don't get like super excited about this. But so for instance, like champions like Aurelion Sol or someone is going to be someone that like really does like Void Staff or something like that, right? Another champion that would like Void Staff would be like Fiddlesticks, right? Fiddlesticks is a champion that has really, really high base damages and doesn't really care about cooldowns because he just blows his load and then, yeah. Trilda's Grudge, passive, Rancor, bonus armor penetration, 20% plus 0.11% per one lethality, 25%, very nice, just getting 5%. Very nice changes for Ezreal this patch. First Strike, flat gold is going down by 5. Damage amp is also going down by 1%. Really, really big nerf to First Strike. Now, I was talking with APA, yes, APA, that Ziggs one trick, that dirty Ziggs one trick. And one of the discussions that I was having with him is that the more that I was like looking at this rune, thinking about it and everything, I think it's a pretty fake rune in a lot of ways. Now, if you're taking this rune, it better just be because you can't exert enough pressure in the lane anyway for it to alter the lane in a meaningful way. And or like, you know, if it's not like totally free. Now, what I mean by that is if you take Aerie or you take Comet, you can alter the lane in a much more meaningful way than you can with First Strike. You're just able to deal so much more damage, right? You're going to have games where Comet is at like 2,000 damage and First Strike's sitting there at 400 as like you're waiting to get to later items, and then, you know, First Strike will catch up and go to 1,000 true damage, 1,100 true damage, whatever, right? In which case it's pretty comparable. So, realistically, I think First Strike is a pretty fake rune that a lot of people misunderstand, and it has a lot of hype around it. Now, it is really broken in lanes where you can just proc it on repeat, and they can't do anything. They can't do anything, and you have 300 gold for free at 6 minutes or something. Right, sure. Totally get that. But in lanes where you're taking it just to take it when you should have had Comet, or you should have had Aerie or Phase Rush, or, you know, something like this, it's just not, it's not that rune, and now this further reinforces that. Recommended rune updates on all these things, and yeah, Gangplank, shout out to Solar Baka. Gangplank, awful spot right now. And that is pretty much it. So as you guys can see, there are basically no real balance changes in 14.12. Now, Pro Play just resumed, and LCK is resuming today. And if you guys have been following my stream this year, you know that I have a restriction on streaming right now. So I will not be there for LCK today. I'm hoping that this does get resolved in the next 2 weeks, and I can resume co-streaming. But for now, it will just be LCS and everything else on the weekends, and that's what I'm limited to. I can't even stream solo queue. I was able to do MSI and other stuff, and I've talked about the stuff on stream. It's been a very miserable year in this regard. So obviously very grateful to FlyQuest for like helping handle this, and also like T1 because they're the ones fighting the battle, trying to make all these problems go away. But yeah, it does suck. So LCK does resume today. LCS is going to be resuming next weekend. LEC just started. LPL just started. So we're not going to get any balance changes, and that sucks. So we're looking at 14-13, and then 14-13, and then in a month from now we have the Esports World Cup. So it's gonna be a weird summer, guys. It's gonna be a really weird summer. There's nothing going on here now. In terms of the skins, let's talk about the skins. Obviously, the skins are amazing. Now, let me just say this, okay? People can do whatever they want to do with their money. If someone went and spent $500 on a guitar, no one would care. If someone went and spent $500 on a jacket that they wanted, no one would care. If someone went and spent $500 on a concert ticket, no one would care. If someone went and spent, $500 on, Pumpmaster, 5750X29178, no one would care. So these are the things that like we have to consider. Like, you shouldn't look at the skins, and people are gonna get the skins. The skins are really nice. All right, if you're gonna boycott the skin, I think it's so stupid. Doesn't make any sense. Are they expensive? Yeah. Can you earn them for free? I don't know. I don't know if that's actually a thing. You can just get the regular skin and stuff. Now, the Xerath skin also doesn't even make sense. This skin, it feels like it already exists in the game. I'll be totally honest. The skin just, I don't know, not doing it for me. But yeah, that's pretty much it. So that is all. So again, Patron, there's not going to be an update on this patch. 14.12, no update. There's no update. There's not going to be any changes. There's no meaningful changes in this patch that would cause solo queue changes, okay? Now, my alternate Twitter, if you guys have seen it, which is ILSXYZ, ILSXYZ9, I'll probably end up talking about like tier lists and stuff like this on that Twitter probably this week, just because I have a growing frustration for this type of stuff, and like assessment of patch notes and whatnot. But that is pretty much it, guys. So now I gotta go react to the new LCS changes. I'll see you guys all later. Bye-bye.